What's up? How's it going? Figured I'd make another little VK56 update video. I kind of got carried away and did all the motor work. Once I got back, I was just too excited. I did document some of it, but figured I'd give you a little update on how it's going right now. And so, first thing I did was start with the oil pan, obviously. In the last video, you could see I did it all out of cardboard, just to kind of mock it up. So I did go ahead and get a sheet of aluminum, kind of rough cut it all on my bandsaw there, sanded all the edges down, make it square, and then I TIG welded that sucker out. I also had to modify the oil pickup inside of the pan, so it needed to be shortened and kind of rotated. So the oil pickup was modified, and then I did put a baffle inside there, just kind of along where the pickup is. There's a little baffle in there, and fill it up with water. It holds just under 5 liters, so I think with the oil cooler as well, we should be above that 5 liter mark. So yeah, that's a front sump conversion oil pan. Yeah, it wasn't overly hard to do, but time consuming, and obviously you need to be decent at welding aluminum. So I went ahead and blazed that all out, TIG welded all that, and then because there's no dipstick, the dipstick location would have been right here, and so we have no dipstick, so I just added this little sight gauge. It's pretty simple, just a couple fittings and some clear hose so I can at least see the level inside the pan. So it's going to be, up around there. But yeah, I will spin this motor around and kind of go over the rest of it here. All right, got big Bertha spun around here. Yeah, so once I got the pan done, I knew that it would fit nice. I had to take the timing cover off to do the timing on it. To get it top dead center, I wanted to just do the cams, and once I took the valve covers off and was kind of looking in there, I just saw, I don't know, some sludge buildup. I'm not sure the actual kilometers of this engine, so I figured the head bolts are right there. I might as well pop the heads off. So I popped the heads off, and there was, like I said, some sludge on top of the pistons and the cylinder walls. So I cleaned up the pistons and the cylinder walls, all the mating surfaces, and then I did paint the block. So I just wanted to make sure everything spanned good. There was no loose bearings or anything. So the bottom end still seemed tight, even though there was some sludge in there. So I got the block cleaned up. Then I ordered some new head bolts and Fel-Pro head gaskets. So I put those on. And before I put the heads back on, like I said, I noticed some sludge in there. So I wanted to clean up the intake ports to begin with. And then I just kind of got carried away and ended up doing a little polish on the ports. Wouldn't say they were necessarily ported, but I did remove a bit of casting materials, more or less just to smooth out the ports. Again, that was for the exhaust and the intake. So once the heads were cleaned up and polished, the ports were polished, I went ahead and started swapping out all the springs. So all 32 springs and shims were removed and put in for some Kelford units. That's a shim underneath the spring and then the spring itself. So that was pretty time consuming. Got that all done and put all the buckets back in. Bolted the heads on, and then the Kelford cams are actually installed at that point. And a lot of people ask, kind of, oh shit, they came from New Zealand. Why didn't you go with something else? And there really just isn't anything else there. Some Jim Wolf Technologies cams that you could run, kind of like a drop-in cam, and a lot of guys have used those in the Titans, but I wanted something with a little bit more aggressive grind, and so I found Kelford out of New Zealand. They done a lot of motors down there and have some experience with the VK56, so put the Kelford cams in, and they were 288, 278, 11.8 mil lift, and I believe 11 for the exhaust. So they're pretty aggressive. But yeah, so I got the cams in, So new springs, cams, shims, polished. And then I got these aluminum valve covers, so I bolted those on with all new hardware. Surprisingly, I got these off of Amazon, so they are, looks just kind of like a 3D printed plastic version. They're identical to the stock ones, just they're aluminum, which I was pretty stoked about. And then I did make a custom fill neck to get rid of like the higher truck fill neck, so I made that up. So yeah, that's basically the heads from the block up. I did go ahead and paint the timing cover as well. Just kind of like a flat black. So it's got a new oil pump under there. Did all the timings, all good to go. So new Nissan oil pump in the bottom, and then a new OEM replacement water pump. These are actually kind of difficult to find parts for, surprisingly. But all in all, yeah, all new gaskets. Everything's been cleaned up. Custom pan. And I'm kind of waiting to bolt the accessories on because it's going to be in my way when I go to make headers and make the swap engine mounts for this. So like I said, I already got those plates made up, so it's just a matter of kind of shoehorning it in there and making it work. Then here's the truck intake that came with the motor. It's actually got some weight to it. So if you pop that sucker on top, I mean, for how big that thing is, it might as well be a damn supercharger. Like, look at the size of that thing. So I'm not overly stoked about that, but I plan on using it just to kind of get it running, and then if I have time, I'll make an intake plenum. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that. So motor's pretty much ready to go in the car. A couple more things I needed to get was, obviously I have a Collins adapter. I got to dig it out from underneath, but I also ordered the spec flywheel and clutch. So this is for a CD01 gearbox, which I know it isn't the better one, but it seemed to work for me. So aluminum flywheel and then a stage 3 clutch. So that is obviously swap specific. So I got that ordered, and it's pretty much just a matter of doing all the fab work. I did find the spec sheet on those cams. Yeah, so sorry, I was off. Or no, yeah, 288, 11.8 mil lift. So these are pretty aggressive, and that's why I went with Kelford, because I wanted something a little bit more aggressive as far as the profile goes, because that's pretty much the only power adder that this thing has is upgraded valve train and cams. And then yeah, it's running stock injectors. Basically everything that's in the car is going to make this run. So that's my fuel setup, that's the haul tech, and yeah. So it's just a matter of ripping out Old Faithful here. Get this hood open. Ripping out that girl, which I mean, I don't hate it. I actually kind of grew fond of this motor, but I don't know. It's turning into a horsepower war, and I just kind of wanted to leave it NA. I don't really want to throw nitrous or boost at it. I've done that, and maybe I could have done it better, but I figured I'd just go V8. So VQ's got to come out. Probably going to keep that motor. I have another 240 eventually. Swap it into if I have time, because I have so much free time these days. But yeah, no, ready to swap it in there and start ripping the motor out. So it's basically where we're at. Looks pretty sweet though. Pretty similar to a VQ in my opinion. You can see how wide it is though, and very tall with that truck manifold on there. God, that thing's ugly. But motor's looking sick. Super stoked. So probably get crack-a-lacking and get it swapped in there already.